Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to take two of the UK connection. Some of you don't know what I'm talking about. Watch the blooper, you'll find out. Alongside my colleagues, as always, Mr. Simon Bray, Mr. Steven Reid. Welcome, gentlemen. How are you?
I'm good. I'm just thinking that anyone can tell when there's been a blooper because I don't start every show by going, hit the I understand I'm being recorded button that they annoyingly put on the screen about 2 years ago and I'm still complaining about.
Right.
I
And
watch myself
if you
back
look
on
really
occasional
closely,
shows.
Simon is usually rolling his eyes. That usually is a dead giveaway.
Sorry, I just lapsed into a coma about the conversation that you two had about Fahrenheit and centigrade before we came on. I've never been as fucking bored in my life.
That's not true. You've listened to us before.
Well, I thought you were going to say you've listened to REM.
No. Thankfully, no. No.
Smiths?
Whoa. I tell you, I will become a member of REM before I discuss the Smiths.
I've seen the schedule and they're on it.
Oh no, that's bad news. Definitely is, yeah. You must be on a different show, Simon.
I meant the Smiths, not REM.
I'm talking both. It was a pleasure to have REM mentioned on the previous show. The viewers loved it. I hate them, but the viewers loved it. That's good.
And now I'm lapsing into a coma. So can we get to the beer selection here first?
Oh, you probably will be.
See that centigrade, Fahrenheit, REM, the Smiths. Oh, man, I tell you, we're losing viewers already. Anyway, today's topic, we're going to talk about our favorite and least favorite Thin Lizzy albums with the episode you've all been waiting for. But before we get to that, hopefully we've wasted enough time here in the first few minutes so Simon's pour is doing a little bit better. So, Simon, what are you drinking today?
I'm drinking a Blazing Star Sabro Stout by Northern Monk. Oh, yeah. Just a little something that I pulled out there. Yeah. I had a big panic earlier when I thought, what's a Sarbo stout? What's a Sarbo hop? And I thought it was some kind of like mental Kevin Sarbo kind of thing. I was going to start spouting right wing bollocks, but it turns out Sabro, tropical. So it's stout, but it's going to be tropically. So let's give it. Now it's settled. Let's give it a stay in court, shall we? Sexy. That's my rating. People wanted a rating, didn't they? I noticed in the comments last week.
Yes.
And ooh, I know that's how sexy it was. Made me go out of focus.
What would you rate out of? We'll do like a CD rating out of 5. What would you rate that?
Oh God, I'd probably have to listen to it for a few weeks, download it,
walk the dog with it,
top until the review, and then me being me, probably never send it in.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
I give it at least a 3.5 thus far.
At least a 3.5. Okay, 2 sips. We need to come up with our own kind of slogan here. It's got to have 2 sips, and we don't want to steal David Portnoy, the pizza guy. 1 bite, everybody knows the rules, but we got to do 2 sips is all it takes, right, or something like that. I don't know, whatever. So I saw those 2 sips. He was able to rate it. Steven, what do you got?
Okay, well, I've got. This is colourful. Look how colourful this is. Okay, it's not a quo beer. It could be a hula, but let's not do that. Okay, it's a hula beer from 71 Brewing, which are a Dundee company. I don't know if they're the only ones from Dundee. There's a couple that brew in Dundee. So this is very local to me. I actually think my other half's dad grew up roughly in, Belfield Street is where this is brewed. I think basically where this is brewed. That's nothing to do with how he smells now. So it looks like this in the glass. I've had this glass for a long time. I've shown it off. I've got a glass for the beer, 71 Brewing, and decided that it's the haziest beer in the world, so you can't really see the 71 Brewing that's beautifully there.
It's there. You can sort of see it. Yeah.
Yeah, so it is a fruited pale ale, supposedly got apricot and mandarin and things like that through it. You can't really quite smell it so much now. When I poured it, it did smell a bit like, I don't know, a bit like a jam. You can definitely get the fruit out of it. So 2 sips and rank it. Is that what we do?
Yep.
I really like it. It's not something I would drink regularly. Now that it's sitting Oh, I'm going to sound like Chad now from In the Prog Seat. Mouthfeel. That's a really uncomfortable phrase to use. I'm going to go for a 3. It's nice, and this is more of a kind of summer's day sort of beer. It's not a summer's day here today, I can assure you. It's nice, but it's not going to be one of my favourites ever.
So 3 out of 5. Okay, cool. Jose, how we doing? Jose is one of the people who recommended we do that. So my beer for today is from again from Equilibrium Brewing Company in Middletown, New York, right next door to Rock Fantasy. Cucumber Science. We got a lot of glare here today, so so this is a Pilsner with Motueka, cucumber, lime juice, and lime zest, 5% alcohol, beer balanced by science. It looks like this. I've got it in my Zeus glass. Hint of cucumber, very, very little. I get some lime, yeah, for sure. There's definitely some lime going on there, but it's not too much.
Do we want cucumber in our beer?
This is not the first I've had. That's kind of getting popular over here.
Okay.
Good. It's not too much. I mean, if you don't like cucumber, you won't like this. But I like cucumber. It's just a little hint of it. It pairs nicely with the lime. So it's kind of like this kind of like tart cucumber thing going on. Again, does cucumber even have a flavor? It's very distinct flavor. I just don't know if you can call it something. But this is good. Good, refreshing. 3.5 out of 5.
Okay.
Now, onto the band. Thin Lizzy. Anybody want to talk a little bit about Thin Lizzy before we get started? No? Yes? Oh, sorry. No?
Well, crikey. I mean, what is there left to say about Thin Lizzy? Fantastic band, based around Phil Lynott, started as a 3-piece, Eric Bell on guitar, expanded out to a 2-guitar band, possibly the most famous twin guitar rock band, possibly. Certainly viewed as the band that kind of harnessed and captured that twin guitar lead sound. It changed guitarists quite often. Scott Gorham was pretty much a feature once they expanded out, and then we had a variety of different people that came and went. Some stayed longer than others, some more successfully than others, I think it would be fair to suggest. And then they kind of fizzled out at the end, unfortunately, after expanding out further with Darren Porton coming in on keyboards, which was a bit of a kind of sideways move, a little bit, I would suggest, at the time. And then we got solo albums and various things from Phil, although that started before the band had splintered as well. And then his sad and untimely demise and the end of the band. And there's been a lot of activity from certain members since, but nothing really that stuck, I would suggest.
Yep.
Probably the most prolific thing that's come out at the end of Thin Lizzy is Black Star Riders, which doesn't really seem to have a member of Thin Lizzy in it anymore. So nothing really has had much longevity afterwards, unfortunately.
Yeah, you have to wonder what Scott's going to do nowadays, now that he's no longer in Black Star Riders, and it's like, it's kind of seems strange without him in the band. But originally they were going to go out as Thin Lizzy again, then they decided to change the name, and then the drummer left, Scott was there, and so it's kind of strange.
Yeah, it's an unusual situation, I think. I don't know if it was really after initially it was kind of Scott's band. I think it became Ricky Warwick's band. I'm a big Ricky Warwick fan, so that's not
pretty much.
But I think the dynamic changed an awful lot. So maybe that was something to do with it. Who knows? I don't know. It's very amicable. He still plays with them from time to time and things live, so it seems to have all been good.
Yeah, I think once Brian Downey decided that he was no longer be a part of that, all that, I think then it became a little ambiguous, right? And then once I heard that Scott was no longer really involved on a full-time basis, it's kind of like, all right, where's this going now? Because he's always been that kind of, they've always kind of sounded a little like Thin Lizzy because of him. You got to wonder now. I mean, I haven't heard their most recent album, so I really can't tell you, but
no, I must admit, I haven't either. I've got everything up till now, and I will make an effort to listen to it. But I am a Ricky Warwick fan. I'm going to see the Almighty in about a month's time, and they're out there. Maybe not even as long as away as that. And I'm really looking forward to that. But the band without Scott just feels a bit odd to me. So it's tamped kind of my enthusiasm down a little bit, I would suggest.
Yeah, for sure. So as always,
already.
Yeah. Yeah. As always, we picked out two favorites, our two least favorites, and a wild card. The wild card could be just about anything. Could be an album that sits somewhere in the middle of not quite our favorite, not quite least favorite. Could be a compilation, live album, some offshoot, whatever. Could be a Black Star Riders album, right? Could be anything. So, Simon, I'll have you start us off here.
Okay, I was just listening to how many albums we required at that point. I won't be sticking to that. So anyhow, yeah. Oh, sorry. Bye. Shall we talk about you? Shall we talk about him while he's not here, just for once?
Here. I'm just here. I haven't left the room.
Oh, okay. Excellent.
He's grabbing more props. That's what
that's the REM section down there, right? Thin Lizzy. Oh yes. Thin Lizzy. The reason why Thin Lizzy have taken such a long time to turn up on the UK connection is basically me, because I went, no, I can't do that. And then I realised I've got all the albums and I should go back and listen to the ones that I don't like or thought I didn't like, because it's been a while since we decided we were going to do this, isn't it? But for a very, very long while, Thin Lizzy were one of those bands, or indeed even media products, that I just went, no. It's a bit like when people say to you, you've really got to watch Game of Thrones / Breaking Bad / The Simpsons / The Sopranos, and I've not seen a single fucking episode of any of those because people try to make me do it. I am the anti-zeitgeist person, and I used to have this friend harps on about Thin Lizzy all the time. So I just went, no, for a long period. Here's my Thin Lizzy collection for quite a period. Are you ready? Oh yeah, look at that. Hollywood on picture disc.
Nice.
Sexy as that. That's the right way up on the other side.
Yep.
Hands down, has been, always will be my favourite Thin Lizzy song. I thought, I don't really need much else, because there's that many million compilations. I've got that one. The hits are great. That's all I need. I also managed, when I was at university, to get this. Stephen, you're from the UK. Castle Collection used to put out, Castle Communications used to put out compilation albums of not really the hits of bands for about every week for quite a while. And I've got this on cassette. It's got all the early stuff on. And that put me off for quite a long while. I'm just saying, until I thought, no, come on, Simon, get some testicular fortitude, and go for it. So here we are, and I am going to be so contrarian tonight. It's going to be fucking great. Are we ready? Because I remember watching somebody who, certainly the way that this is configured right now, is there. I don't know where he is on the actual screen. So if I'm pointing at you, Stephen, I apologise, but he's there. I remember somebody ranking the albums of Thin Lizzy with Budge. I remember doing that. And I remember when they got to my favourites, and it is my favourite, and it will always be my favourite, and it always has been my favourite Thin Lizzy album, they both roughly did this. And looked at each other like, they knew more than I did, but they were wrong and I was right, because my very, very favourite Thin Lizzy album is, of course, Renegade. Fucking love it. Absolutely love it.
He's been hanging out with Martin Popoff too long. That's his favorite.
Oh, yeah, Martin's not emailing me like he's emailing Stephen at the moment, is he? No, he isn't. Let's put that to one side, shall we? No. So anyway, Renegade is awesome. Thin Lizzy have some great opening tracks.
Yeah.
And Angel of Death is
one of the best.
Really is, it's all kind of proggy, but anybody a fan of the TV, Netflix in the UK cartoon character Archer?
I remember Archer.
Right. So phrasing, that's one of his phrases, phrasing. And with Phil Lynott, he's such a unique vocalist. It's all about the phrasing. Have you ever heard anybody go, Hitler, Stormtroopers? No, you haven't. No, you really, really haven't. Or spats, fats. You really just. I think side one's virtually perfect. I absolutely adore it. And then side two starts with, it makes sense, kids. Hollywood, wow, reached the lofty heights of number 53. With a bullet. I really like what Darren Wharton brings to the band. What they can do, what they can do since they got their shit when they got their shit together and started becoming Thin Lizzy. Yeah, not the early stuff. When they got their shit together, they could do practically anything. And because it's my goal first, I just want to nominate Brian Downey as the most valuable player.
He's great. Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, because they started off with with the early stuff, and Brian, can you just play something like that's vaguely soulful and R&B and a little bit psychedelic? Yeah, of course, I can do that. Can you play something that's a bit classic rocky? Yeah, I can do that. Can you just give us a little beat behind the twin guitar? I can do that. And then at the end, they went, Brian, can you give us some fucking heavy metal? And Brian said, yeah, not a problem. I can do that. Throughout the band, Brian was there, giving it loads every time. And I utterly adore Renegade, because my thing is quite clearly nobody else's thing, which are the Snowy White Years, because my other favourite is Chinatown. I love this record. What a great record. Again, We Will Be Strong is awesome. The title track, Chinatown. Has anybody seen the Last But One Dokken video? The one where the guitar player randomly walks around the house.
We've spoken about this, Simon. I've seen this. It's a very weird thing.
They've seen Chinatown, haven't they? They've seen it, except Phil plays bass. But what a tune, Sugar Blues, they can. This band can do it all. Killer on the Loose. What a tune!
Yeah, phenomenal.
Didn't that cause a bit of a kerfuffle when I was little? Oh, you're younger than me, aren't you, Stephen?
I'm younger.
Killer on the Loose. Around about the time of the Yorkshire Ripper. Fantastic.
Okay. I knew it was controversial, and and the lyric is quite strong, shall we say? So yeah.
Okay. I really love this record. And Genocide is awesome. The song, not the concept.
Yeah, exactly.
Just one. Killing Buffalo is very clearly wrong. I think we can all agree. But I think that this is the most poppy they kind of get. They're not exactly rocking out like they will do on Thunder and Lightning. Just really excellent. And Renegade, proves that they're a band that is more than the hits. The hits are fucking great. The hits are really, really good, but there's so much good shit when you get past the hits, and it's so varied and so different. You think, oh, it's going to be a twin guitar solo and absolutely everything, and there isn't. There's more going on there than you might think.
And interestingly enough, like hits in the traditional sense, they had very few, but they had their deep cuts were very notable. So even the songs that aren't like the notable deep cuts are really, really good. So you could
they had hits over here, didn't they, Stephen?
They had a few hits over here, yes, and I would say that there's still at least one, maybe two songs, maybe three that are still kind of ubiquitous with classic rock radio and all that kind of stuff. There are certain songs that you will hear again and again.
It's one.
No complaints from me on that.
One song here, that's it.
Yeah, okay. I mean, the Boys Are Back in Town's a great song, let's be honest. But you'll hear things like Jailbreak and Cowboy Song and things over here. Fair enough.
I actually heard Hollywood on the radio the other day when I got into the car and I'd left it on Planet Rock, which was unusual for me to do. So yeah, I sat on the drive and listened to it.
Yeah,
not in the car though. No.
Yeah, I could have gone upstairs and played it, but actually yesterday I played this for the first time in many, many years. Flipped it over and thought, holy shit, I have owned this for 42 years.
What's on the B-side?
The Pressure Will Blow. Just ripped from the album. So
fair enough. Yeah, I wonder if it was a live track, seeing that looked like a live still that's on the back.
Yeah, no. I would also like to say, while I'm talking about Renegade, and I've never met a Chris Sangarides production that I don't like. Just
okay.
Yeah,
I can go with that.
Yeah, So, yeah. Well done.
We got Snowy White well represented here in the first round.
Yeah. Well, I came to a conclusion as I revisited this catalogue in recent weeks, some of which I didn't really need to, some of which I did, to be fair, that there's probably no wrong answer. I know there are less favourable albums, and we're all going to have to choose least favourites, however many we really choose, Simon. But I can even understand people who like the less fashionable side of the band as their favourite era, because there's an atmosphere and a sound and various things that three-piece definitely brought that was left by the wayside for obvious reasons, I would suggest, but there's nothing wrong with it. So I found it difficult. So I didn't choose Fighting. I could have done though, right? Because that's a great album, okay? And I thought until I really made myself that I was going to choose Johnny the Fox. And I didn't do that either, okay? In the end, and it's quite unusual for me, I would suggest, I've gone with what I would think are probably the two most, in inverted commas, obvious choices, because I don't think the point of this is there isn't obvious choices in this catalogue. But I would guess that this would be quite high on a lot of people's list. This is Black Rose. This is from 1979. This is the 9th studio album. Now, I contradict myself by choosing this, because when I think Lizzy, I think Robbo and Gorham. That's what I think. That's the twin guitar sound. That's the two that put it in place. And therefore, that's the band. Well, Gary Moore's on here, and man, oh man, is he fantastic. And he fits this band so well, and he was in and out, and in and out, and in and out, and really always his choice to leave. Always asked back, because him and Phil clearly got on. The chemistry was clearly there, even beyond Thin Lizzy. And to me, he's almost the archetypal Lizzy guitarist. He's just got that ability to let loose, bring the fire, but he's also tasteful. He can play the blues, he can rock, he can hold a riff. And combined with Scott Gorham on here, oh man, what a partnership. They're absolutely fantastic. I mean, you've got things like Do Anything You Want to Do, you've got Waiting for an Alibi. This is just great. The title track's phenomenal. Do you know, but I just think the whole thing, I mean, Got to Give It Up hits the nail on the head in a variety of different ways. Some that you look back on now and can view through different kind of eyes. You know, but there's things like Get Out of Here. Oh, fantastic. I must admit that I could live without Sarah. Right, okay, that is okay. That's just a personal thing for me. Nothing wrong with Sarah. Okay, sorry, Sarah. I think that when Phil got really, really, really sentimental, it was maybe just a little bit too on the money for my own personal taste. And that kind of falls into that. But if that is your bag, I can understand why it's maybe even your favourite song on the album. So I'm not saying it's not great. It's just not necessarily for me. What I do like, though, is just how bad the video for it is. Because the video for it is terrible. But it's terrible in such a great way that it's fantastic. Because it is so kind of heartfelt and it's so on the money. It's just so, Phil is, he's right on with the camera and he's looking at it all the time and he's singing these words, and it's about, the young girl that he loves. That this is what it's all about. It's about, expressing love for a family member. This is, things that he missed and all that kind of, and it's so. But then there's this bit at the end where he's sitting on the stool and it becomes, I don't know if it is his daughter that walks in and looks at him, but then there's another lady that walks in that's slightly older, another that's slightly older, until we get to a full-blown woman, for want of a better turn of phrase, who is the most awkward of all of them. She stands there kind of going at the camera, which is really, really kind of off-putting, and Phil's kind of going, don't do that, okay, and they keep the take, and then she walks off, and then on walks this other gorgeous blonde, who kisses their finger and tries to kiss Phil with it. It happens to be Scott Gorham. And how much of it is ad-libbed of what I don't really know, because Phil genuinely tries to go, oh no, don't do that. I don't want you to do that. And then he walks off, Scott sits down and mimes the rest of the song to the camera in the most over-the-top kind of camp sort of way. The video is 10 times better than the song, in my humble opinion. I can understand if anyone absolutely loves it. But yes, this, is it my favourite? I don't know, because it's very close with that. And yeah, okay, I'm going for Jailbreak. Okay. It's a classic. It's maybe the obvious choice. It's maybe the easy choice. But man, oh man, it's great for a reason. So this is album number 6. This is from 1976. Is it the album that maybe captures that kind of mythical Lizzy never got the live sound in the studio. Is this as close as they came? It's hard to say, but I tell you what, the songs are just ridiculous. Yes, you have got The Boys Are Back in Town, you've got Jailbreak, Cowboy songs, Emerald. I mean, come on. It's just ridiculously good. But then, I mean, you've got things like Angel from the Coast, Running Back. These are great songs that nobody talks about because the core of the album is just so damn good. It's got a great cover. You know, it's got, admittedly, that back blues are going to be careful when I open it. Okay, it's just so good. It's so fantastic. The shots on the back are great. It's just, this is perfection for me. Do you know, you've even got things like Romeo and the Lonely Girls, a sleeper that's on this. Do you know, it's so good. And yes, this is Robbo and Gorham. I love it. I've always loved it. Was it the first Lizzy album I got? No, it wasn't actually. So it's not a case of this is the one that I first got and got into. The first one I had was Chinatown. That's the first one I bought. And this, I don't know where it fell and what I bought. Love it. Loved it from the moment I heard it all the way through because I knew half of it before I heard it probably. And still love it just as much now. So my two are Black Rose and Jailbreak.
Yeah, I mean, you said before there really is no wrong answer here, right? And for me, my 5 favorite albums are always the same 5, but yet my top 2 are always the same 2. Those top 2 have been flip-flopping back and forth for decade after decade, but I still go back to the same 2. And a lot of times I really feel bad. In fact, I think Butch and I even talked about that when we did our ranking show. It's like you pick your 2 favorites and you feel bad because number 3, 4, 5, and 6 you love so much, but you feel bad that they're 3, 4, 5, and 6, as if that's a bad thing. It's not, right? That's still pretty high in the ranking. But number 1 is Jailbreak. For all the reasons you said. I mean, you can't beat the songs on here. You possibly could say they may have other albums that might be stronger start to finish, but I don't know. Because when you got Jailbreak, Angel from the Coast, Warriors, Boys Are Back in Town, and Boys Are Back in Town is the only hit they ever had in this country. It's not even a top 20 song of theirs, in my opinion. Cowboy song, Emerald. Emerald is the greatest Thin Lizzy song of all time. Fight me on it. That's, Romeo and the Lily Girl. I mean, this is an amazing album. I love the production. Cover's great. Back cover's great. It's hard not to pick that. The other one that generally vies for the top spot for me is Johnny the Fox. To me, arguably the height of the twin guitar majesty of Gorham and Robertson is on this album. I mean, Massacre is so good. Johnny the Fox meets Jimmy the Weed is so funky. Johnny is great. Borderline is great. Don't Believe a World, so good. Fool's Gold. I even love Boogie Woogie Dance. As stupid as it is, it just, oh man, the groove, the riff, so good. And I love the production of this, and I love the cover as well. It's got this kind of like comic book thing going on here. I'm always like tempted to pick Bad Reputation. Fighting is great. There have been times Fighting is my number 1 or 2. Thunder and Lightning is great. Black Rose is great. I mean, the Snowy White albums are really good as well. Even Nightlife is good. Nightlife, though, isn't quite the fully realized sound yet. To me, Nightlife is the transition album. And maybe that'll come up in one of your picks or mine. But yeah, those are my 2 favorites today anyway. But this has been pretty constant for a while. These have been my 2 favorites for a long time. And I think they kind of go together. I think Fighting is a little bit different as we move into these, but and Bad Reputation obviously is mostly Scott on guitars. So I think these 2 are of a pair, and what a pair they are. So back to the sun.
What a pair. Just remind me what I'm doing now.
You're doing least favorite, Simon.
Least favorite.
Or something like that.
Something along the lines of least favorite. Okay, I can do that. Do you know what? For quite a while we were doing this, I was going to place Johnny the Fox in my bottom. Well, I know, because I'm nothing if not controversial. For a very long time, I was going to place this one as my least favorite. But this, Diddy Levine is fucking awesome. Just some really, really good shit. Just because this is not my thing doesn't mean you can't appreciate it. Which is absolutely the same with my actual least favorites, which is Vagabonds of the Western World.
Wow.
I know. I'm going for it. I know. I'm just saying. That said, Mama Nature said it's absolutely awesome. I was listening to that very loud today, but slow blues, I just really don't like it. But because you know me, I've got to listen to the entire thing from start to finish. Can't turn it off. Much as I was going, oh God, driving down the road. Yeah, it's just not my thing. But what I would say though, that holy shit, Eric Bell's a good guitar player, isn't he?
He is. Yep.
Oh my God, it's just not really my thing, and it's not what I think of when I think of Thin Lizzy. It's kind of like, yeah, they did this, and then they got to the bit that Simon likes. If does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like I said, my mum and Edge said it's just so fucking good. Really, really good. There's lots and lots of good stuff on this. This is the slightly expanded version, and then at the end, Whiskey in a Jar comes on. You think, yay! There's a song I never, ever, ever need to hear again. Yeah, and then while I'm at it, this is being reissued, isn't it?
Yes, there's a fancy coloured vinyl version coming out right now.
And like a 78 disc version or something, which appears to be retailing at about £80. Put these two words in a sentence. No thanks. So, I'm a fan. I would like it. I would unbox it if somebody gave it me for nothing. But I don't have £80 to shell out on CDs. That's just not a thing. £40 maybe. 80. No, sorry, no. And it's my least favourite today. Thin Lizzy album.
Or we just
the one.
Okay.
Just the one.
Even then, I like it.
No, but you're not just doing one least favourite.
Well, that would be down there. But again, so much actual good stuff on it. But it's not remotely like, for instance, their best album. This is what I consider to be their best, not favorite, but best. From front to start, that is just fucking awesome. But I was quite young when that came out, so like I said, I didn't discover them in any way, shape, or form until 1981-ish. So yeah.
So an interesting thing with you saying that Whiskey in the Jar is on like the bonus tracks of Vagabonds there, because I never even mentioned that earlier when I say about songs that you hear over and over and over by them, and I know it's not by them, but it's their version that you hear over and over and over, and yet I kind of forgot about it because. Anyway, moving on. It's a great song and a great version, and I'm sure that lots of people love it. That is maybe the only Lizzy song that I never need to hear again because I've heard it an awful lot and I've never really loved it, to be fair. Live versions, different because they played about with it and they beefed it up a little bit in various things, and I do like some live versions of it. Anyway,
I always wondered how much they really cared about. I mean, they obviously did it when they did it, but going forward, I wonder if they were kind of like, yeah, we did that. It was kind of popular.
Well,
we don't even.
They didn't really want to do it at the time, if that's to be believed. They very much kind of railed against it and felt kind of backed into a corner over it. And then it was released and it was a hit, and they kind of went, "Oh fuck!"
Exactly.
And from there on, they had to play it for a period of time. And then after that, I think there are some shows where he says, "Now the song you want to hear, we're not going to do that." Then I think they actually do. So clearly that thought of that's not the band that we are was definitely in there. So yeah, I think it would have been easy to just have chosen the first two albums. Okay, so I've not done that. Okay, this is definitely, absolutely, 100%. I'm glad that Simon has mentioned the Black Rose. That's his. He thinks that's the best album. I'm not going to argue against that. There's a few contenders, but it wasn't one of his two favourites because this is possibly the catalogue where I've gone for least favourites, and it's least favourites. Okay, I don't really like all that much Shades of a Blue Orphanage. Okay, I don't like the cover, don't like the name. I know the name is a kind of hybrid of bands that the guys have been in before and all this kind of stuff. But if ever a name and a cover combination said, "Don't buy me, I'm boring as shit," then it's this. I mean, come on, artistic choices here are absolutely atrocious. Okay, and I get that there's deeper meanings going on. I understand the relevance of what's trying to be said and all this kind of stuff. But you're trying to sell the product, and then you stick them on the back on a rainy day and all this kind of stuff. And you're like, wow. I mean, it's a folk album. It's not really a folk album. It's a folk album. It's a rock album. It's a blues album. It's a psychedelic album. It's a bit progressive. It's all over the place. That's part of the problem. This is a band kind of going, what will we do you think?
Yeah.
And I'm not convinced that they ever really got the answer at this point. I think they got it with the next album. It's not really where I love them, but I think they got it with the next album. That says it's not awful. This is not an awful album. I mean, there's things like Call the Police on here. That's a really good song. You can kind of see where the band are going. Do you know, there is some really good stuff on here. But then there's also things like Buffalo Gal, which is a nice idea that doesn't seem to be properly fleshed out. And that, Buffalo, 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 Buffalo. Wow, no, please don't do that. But I will say that the rise...
Yeah, but you're all right with Beulah Beulah Quo?
Oh, different things though. I mean, Beulah Beulah Quo, that's classic. I mean, that makes you do this. Whereas Buffalo makes you go, Buffalo, Buffalo, Buffalo. It's totally different. Totally different. Okay.
Hypocrite.
Right. Well, no, you're not understanding. You need to connect with Beulah Beulah Quo. The rise and dear demise of the funky nomadic tribes. I mean, it's either the best or worst song title in the world. And the fact that it takes me nearly the 7 minutes and 9 seconds of the song just to say the title tells you a lot about the song as well. There's a lot to like here, and if people like this album, I'm cool with that, because this is not something that I dislike. It is probably the Lizzy album that I listened to least over the years. It's definitely the one that I bought last, and I bought it last genuinely because the cover repelled me. I picked this album up a few times and went, I'll buy something else today. I'll get this next time. And eventually I did, with the bonus tracks and various things. And I do like it. I don't love it. Right, okay. Everybody's sitting down. Okay. So, and if you're watching this at home and for some strange reason, maybe you're Jamie Laswell and you just stand all the time. Okay, because Jamie obviously has no seats in his house. Jamie stands all the time. Okay, it's good for the posture. Right? So if everybody is watching, should sit down, because I'm going to throw this in here. Okay. All right. Now, let's go through the least favourites. Not a bad album. This is a good heavy metal album for its time. Okay, they're not Carcass. I understand that, people, right? For its time, this is a good heavy metal album with an awful cover. This is an awful cover. This is a terrible cover, okay? As when I was speaking to Martin Popoff, Simon, about Thin Lizzy for a book he's putting out.
Oh, your mate Martin?
Yeah, my mate Martin.
Okay.
That's right. Yeah, doesn't speak to me.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was my mate before, and now he's not.
He was. Yeah, he said that actually. Okay.
I thought he would do. Yeah.
Look at the font on the band. That's and immediately people going, yeah, can't be bothered. Where's your shitty Castle Communications compilation, Simon? Hold that up. Hold that up. Okay. They took 17 seconds longer to make that logo than Thin Lizzy did to make this one. Okay. Then they put the album.
Whoa! I said what year was that? The 83, something like that.
Oh, 83. Yep.
Yeah. So you reckon that Thin Lizzy themselves sat there with their like ancient letter set, some shit like that, and actually did the cover themselves?
Is that not how it works?
I can't imagine they could get the shit together enough at that point to actually come up with something that good. But
hence why this happened.
Yes,
lowercase, and somebody somewhere said this cover's really boring, so they made it like light up.
What, like thunder and lightning?
Oh,
fuck!
Look at that's all happening. I mean, this is a brainstorm that the whole afternoon was spent in the pub after they made this cover. I mean, the bass guitars just rammed in. I mean, the perspective's wrong. What?
Smell the glove.
Yeah, okay, we're maybe in those realms. There's a great live shot on the back, a great live shot. So let's make it tiny, right? Just to emphasize the point. And then, I mean, and I know the band were in a bad place at this point in a variety of different ways. Okay, this proves it. This photograph proves it, right? Okay, I mean, Scott's there. It's not really. He's not. I mean, he is there. He's in the room. He's not really there though. Okay. And I mean, the most interesting thing about this band shot is, why has he got an apple? Why does Phil have an apple?
He's a massive John Parr fan.
Has to be the reason.
He'd just come out of the cupboard, and there he was.
So bear with me. We're talking least favourite. Okay.
I smell a bad album cover show in our future.
Well, yeah, I can definitely do one of those. Okay. This is not just a least favourite because of the album cover. If I want to listen to Thin Lizzy, there's a certain vibe and a certain sound that I want. I want it to kind of have a bit of boogie about it. I want it to have a bit of groove about it. I want to feel everything locked together. I want to hear Brian Downey playing really expansive fills round the kit. This is a guy that loves a ghost note. He loves to kind of dance in and out of the beat. He's always keeping everything together. Simon said right at the top of the show, he's the MVP of this band. Absolutely, 100%. That is never a true word said. And there are songs here when he goes, no, don't make Brian do that. Brian can do more than that. Do you know? And I get that John Sykes is phenomenal on this. I get that. That is, I'm not going to argue against that in any shape or form. I don't need Lizzy to be a metal band. I don't need to hear him finger tap. I don't need all these things in a Thin Lizzy album. I'll take them on a Blue Murder album. That's a different kettle of fish, because when I want to hear Blue Murder, I want to hear that sort of thing. When I want to hear Thin Lizzy, I don't really want to hear this kind of thing. But there are great songs on here. Cold Sweat is phenomenal, but it's a hybrid of Judas Priest and Ozzy Osbourne. It's not Thin Lizzy. There are lots of things about this that I absolutely adore. I love Darren Horton. I bigged up Dare when we spoken about them on the Melodic Rock Show. I'm a fan of that band. I've seen them live. If he releases an album, I'm out buying it. His presence on this is too much for me. The keyboards kind of just take over certain songs. I mean, the keyboards in Heart Attack, I don't like them very much, really. It's just like, I mean, Holy War, I mean, the drum sound on that is atrocious. A band like Thin Lizzy shouldn't be kind of going, you know what year is it? What should we sound like? And that to me said that it wasn't, in my humble opinion, the right people who were running the ship at this point. So there you go. Is this a great album? I'll happily say this is a great album, and if people have it as their favourites in the comments, I'm all for you, because I will put this on and go, I like this. I genuinely, if I want to listen to Thin Lizzy, this is really near the bottom of the list, because it's not a Lizzy album in that sense. So there you go. Nobody's going to agree, and I'm okay with that.
It's possibly the most different album in their catalog.
Yep.
That's the first three, right? For sure. Yeah. I get it. Yeah, that album cover is pretty bad, right? It's memorable. I don't know if for all the right reasons, but
it's atrocious. There are some iffy covers in this catalog. I mean, we could do a cover show just for Lizzy, but that to me is the laziest by a distance. It's not the worst. Shades of a Blue Orphanage is the worst. But there you go. There you are.
Yeah.
I'll kind of go off a slight tangent. Say, can well hear me for the rain that's on my window here.
Okay.
Can you hear the rain? No. No, fine.
Now, you mentioned something before that it would probably be too easy to just pick the first two albums as least favorite. I'm going to pick the easy ones. This and this. I don't dislike them by any means. I'll back up Simon and say that these are pretty good. It's just not the Thin Lizzy that I reach for all that often. I think Eric Bell is a tremendous guitar player. You can obviously hear that he's got a love for Jimi Hendrix, right? And bluesy kind of Rory Gallagher type stuff, right? And that's great. I think he's a terrific player. Even though he's the only guitar player on these albums, you still hear like they double track some guitar parts that he played on some of the stuff. So you hear a little bit of what became the Thin Lizzy sound a few years later, permeating through those first three albums. I don't really dig the folky stuff all that much. I think that's why these albums generally sit a little low for me. The heavy blues stuff, and you mentioned Call the Police, and even like it's a B-side, but it came during the sessions. Black Boys on the Corner is great, heavy, right? These albums are weird because they mix like this folky stuff, some bluesy stuff, then some heavy stuff, then more folky stuff. It's really all over the place. So I find these to be like kind of like a schizophrenic listen, but I do like them. I just don't play these all that often. And I there's literally no Thin Lizzy album I dislike at all. I have my favorites and the ones that are my go-to albums. Then I have like the Snowy White albums are kind of like the next in line for me. It's like those really solid. They're a great listen every so often. Then you have the first three that I'm like, I really don't play all that much, but when I do play them, I'm like, oh yeah, there's some good stuff on here. And then I won't go listen to them again for 5 years, right? That's just how it works for me with these. But yeah, they're the bottom by default, but they're not bad by any means. I wouldn't recommend anybody to start here in your Thin Lizzy journey, however. So yeah. Wild card time.
That said, it must be cool if you've never listened to Thin Lizzy to go from the beginning to the end, because that's quite a journey, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say anybody watching this program who has never listened to Thin Lizzy before, you're in for a treat. Regardless where you start. If you want to start from the beginning and go all the way to the end, like Simon said, that is a pretty cool journey because you really can hear the evolution of the band from album to album to album. So hats off to you if you're a newbie to Thin Lizzy, because I would love to be a newbie to Thin Lizzy all over again. Right? Did you ever stop to think about that, guys? How cool it would be to be brand new to a band or bands that you've known for 40, 50 years, to go back in time to hear them for the first time. Wouldn't that be pretty cool to experience that all over again?
I mean, this show in some ways has allowed me to do that because I know lots of Skinnerd material. I'd never listened to the early albums front to back until we came into this and discovered that. I haven't gone and bought them all, but man, oh man, did I have fun with those albums? Yes, so yeah, absolutely.
That can happen. Yeah.
Okay. Wild card. Now, obviously, Steven's wrong because, hey, Thunder and Lightning, what a great record. And what a great cover. What a fantastic. But I was about this old when I realized that there is a gatefold sleeve to this record that I haven't got.
That, Simon, is because does yours not have this thing? No, has it not got a lovely bonus 12-inch single? Well, that's a shame.
It's shit, isn't it? It's shit. I don't like it.
Well, yeah, mine does. My one does. Yeah, my one does.
Yeah, that's me. Wah, Simon. Wah. But that said, I just can't even get it. There we go. It's back in. Yeah. Also, that's like one of the worst shots of all time. That is highway song by Black Foot. Why is it so fucking small? Why are they all that big? Are they all midgets? Sorry, small people? Is that what these people are? What's the point of that?
Yeah, that needs to be big. Yeah.
Honestly, I mean, it's a brainstorm session without the brain, that album cover. It's just terrible.
But musically, I want to go on record saying I really like it. I love Thunder and Lightning. God damn, it's so exciting. This is the one. Look, sun goes down. Oh, come on, kids. There we are. We've decided to make a metal album, and then we put the sun goes down on it. Oh. Yeah, Cold Sweat is just unbelievably awesome. I really like it, but that's not my choice. No, really isn't my choice. My choice, of course, because this is where I start cheating, is Fighting, or as I like to call it, fighting, because that's how that has to be said, isn't it? Yeah, fighting. You think phrasing? That's what it's all about. Oh, it's just so good. Yes, Stephen. Yes, you may speak.
Do you have that to hand? Do you have fighting to hand?
Fighting.
Pete, do you have fighting to hand?
Have you got
your version
terrible cover?
Have you got your version of it there, the US version?
I will get it. Hang tight.
Okay. Because Simon, it doesn't have one bad cover. Oh, it's got two bad covers. It's the cover
for the Ramones.
Yeah.
I even have this on a shirt, ladies and gentlemen. Look at that.
Oh no, that's the UK version.
That's
the UK one.
What's the same one?
Oh. That's the same one.
The other one,
as is mine. As is mine.
Oh well, sorry.
The US version, which does
Brian looks like he's going to throw up. Just like Robbo looks like
the US version, they all have their arms crossed, right? Don't they?
Well, my theory in the US version is the other three guys in the band had fallen hard times and were working on a building site, and Scott Gorham had clearly got a gig as a hairdresser and walked on the side and going, because I mean he's dressed to the nines. The other guys are there to fight. They're fighting. Scott Gorham's like, I'm not doing that.
How about that logo?
Yeah, but how about that underused logo? How many albums is that on the front of?
Not enough.
One, is it not? Officially, until you get to like live albums. On the front of studio albums, as they were released, it's on the front of one. And that's it. So on the front of the US and the UK version, I think it's the only one that logo is on the front of. Wow, really? Crazy.
Anyhow, I'm prepared to say that side one is something I could have considered when we did the best sides, when we did that back in the midst of time. And once again, Suicide is great, not the concept. The song, the guitars in that are just absolutely out of this world. It's the album where, to me, they go, oh, Kaching got this shit together. We know where we're going from here on in. Oh God, that's.
Then you got three rough and tough guys all standing together, and then here's Scott coming through the doorway, going, "Who's next for their appointment?"
Oh man.
So yeah. Anyway, now you've hijacked my time.
Sorry.
say it with me, kids. Fighting. That's how. Do you not say that every time you ever use that word? Fighting. It's got to be done.
And people look at you like, okay.
And then occasionally someone will go, oh yeah, fighting.
Thin Lizzy fan, yes. Yeah, fighting is terrific, man. That's a great choice. That's pretty up there for me. I think fighting could be number 3 or 4 at any given time. It's a really good album. I don't think it gets enough credit as one of the great Thin Lizzy records. To me, that's the album where the Thin Lizzy sound 100% is there.
Yep.
Nightlife hinted at it. That does it all the way.
So, I mean, there's one correct answer here, so it's clearly not what I've chosen, okay? Because the correct answer is obviously this. That's obviously the correct answer. I understand that. I subscribe to that. I'm okay with that. I'm not going to talk about it, though, because I slept on the massive box set. Therefore, I don't have the massive box set. It now basically sells for godillions of pounds. So, yeah. I don't have that, okay? And I'm really quite upset about that. I was going to talk a little bit about Chinatown, but Simon's already, thank you, Simon. Simon's already covered that, and I would agree with him. I love the songs he spoke about. I think it's a really underrated album. But for me, if I'm going to talk about wild cards, I'm going to have to talk about live stuff, okay? So, there is a big fancy box set thing where there's lots of demos and various things, and all. It's just really good, and I really like it, and there's live stuff and documentaries and all sort of stuff. It could have been better, but it is great. It is great. Okay, I do love it. The live material on this recent release, okay, which takes a Sydney show with Gary Moore and Scott Gorham and Mark Nossif on drums, all talking about how important Brian Downey was to the band, and I agree. Man, oh God, Mark Nossif's brilliant on this.
Oh, yeah.
So good. And where the set is at Sydney Harbour, it's really good. It's quite atmospheric. You see the crowd. It's in daylight. It's a bizarre kind of sort of setup, but it's really, really good. However, what I am going to talk about is this. So this is UK Tour 75. Okay, it captures the classic lineup promoting the Fighting album and showing that the live songs from that time and Nightlife, because that's basically the whole set, along with Derby Blues, which is actually the Cowboys song, because they're out here trying these things and they're playing in Derby, hence they called it Derby Blues. It's already there. You can see what's coming, and it's just so fantastic. It is a bit warts and all, so there's an occasional bum note. But what fascinates me about releases like this and this is the lineups are completely different here. Do you know, you're missing key players, Robbo and Downey. They're not on this one. Lizzy was such a live band. Wow. Yeah. Phil Lynott just seemed to be able to surround himself with people that could just bloody well do it. There's such a vibe and there's such a feel, and they are so dangerous. And it really does revolve around him. There's a huge amount of talent around about him, but it really, really does revolve around him. And I've yet to hear a live album. There are some that are better than others, and there's actually not as much out there as you would think. But I've yet to hear a Lizzy live album that doesn't make me go, oh man, do I wish I saw that band. And I saw the John Sykes version that toured before they became the Gorham version that became Black Star Riders. And it was a great night out. It was fantastic. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was really, really good. But it clearly was nothing like seeing that. Nothing at all. And it's one of those kind of, well, if I had the mythical time machine, would I go back and do it? Drop of a hat, I would go back and do it. The only other thing I'll mention is that I do like what Scott Gorham did do after Lizzy, which is 21 Guns, couple of albums. I like the debut. It's melodic rock, is what it is, but it's done really well. I think people at the time kind of went, because it doesn't have much bearing to Lizzy whatsoever, but it seems to have been forgotten about. So I like the debut, which is Salute. But yeah, that's my wild card. This is great. The whole feel of this album is fantastic. You put it on, shut your eyes, and you think, wish I was there. Really do.
My wild card as well.
There you go.
Yeah. This is basically the younger brother of Live and Dangerous. And if you haven't heard this, you're missing out. If there was no Live and Dangerous, this would be looked at as one of the great live albums of the 70s, even though it came out many, many years later. Yeah, I mean, a great set list. Band is on fire. Like Steven mentioned, it's kind of warts and all, but that's okay. This is the untouched, right, live version of the band from 1975. It's terrific. And it shows a band at the height of their powers, and they're going to go even higher over the next couple of years. And I normally, when we do these, I normally pick a studio album that kind of sits in the middle of the pack for me. But the more I thought about it, like I said earlier, it's like so many of their albums for me are there's such high quality that there's really not a lot of dip in this catalog. And I figured, let me go for a live album. And I almost went with the Live Life album, which is really good too. But this is better. This sits just under Live and Dangerous for me. And I remember when this came out in 2008, this like just kind of dropped with little fanfare. I remember we were all like, what? And now you listen to this, you're like, holy shit, this is really good, right? It's like, why did they hold on to this stuff for all that time? I mean, yeah, just great stuff. If you don't have this, go get it. It's again, I don't know how readily this is available. I don't know, but I mean, just for all of you who don't have this, have never seen it, just look at these live shots. I mean, it tells you all you need to know. Look at that. Big curly hair, Gibson Les Pauls. Yeah, this is classic Thin Lizzy. So yeah, that's my wild card. So.
What I really like about that one, Pete, is that, I mean, it's mythical now just how touched up Live and Dangerous supposedly is. And there are stories there that suggest it's basically all studio work, just about, pretty much. And other people who will refute that. It depends what side of the story you want. But what this proves is it just didn't need it. I'm not going to argue. Live and Dangerous is phenomenal. It's fantastic. It's a crowning achievement. It is one of the best live albums ever. I'm not going to argue against any of that. But with all those stories, it feels just a touch tainted now. Because everyone's going, yeah, but it wasn't really live. This is really live. It was so good.
Yeah.
And then this followed the year after, and it felt like we were going to get a slew of these. You kind of thought, we're going to get lots and lots of these. It's going to take you through the eras and various things, because some of this ended up as B-sides and EPs and various things like that. And it didn't happen, unfortunately, and I really wish it had done, but here you go.
Yeah. I think you could probably, you could do a whole show about that, about all these classic live albums from the 70s and even into the early 80s that, are notorious for having been touched up in the studios. And we've heard so much archival live stuff from all these bands in the years since. To your point, that's great. You really didn't need to do any touching up. And you know what? We can live with a couple bum notes here and there, or a vocal that's a little off pitch or whatever. But the labels and the bands and the producers back then, they wanted everything to sound so perfect and pristine, because you're constantly competing with all these great studio albums where the quality is amazing, that they felt the need to do that. But I think we've shown that we're less critical, I think, of live albums that are warts and all. in the years since where we want it to sound like a live concert, right? We want the songs to sound like the studio versions, but we understand if they're going to do something a little bit different, or if they play a wrong note here or there or whatever. I think we're okay with that. And it's you can see with all these archival things that have come out that it's okay to hear something that wasn't touched up in the studio. It's okay to hear it as it sounded live that night. And Thin Lizzy certainly were on more nights than not, right? So
I would argue, though, that, and yet at the time, these albums sold millions. And most, and I'm this is top of my head, most of these albums probably sold more than any of the studio albums. So did they get it right?
In some cases, yeah.
At the time, I think they did. I think now we're maybe more forgiving than the audience might have been back then, because there's a bum note early on in this.
Yeah.
And if that had been put out there as their first live statement, this is what the band are all about, and everyone had heard it. If you want to get into Lizzy, you got to see them live. And if you get a bum note in the first few bars, you're going to go, really? Now you just go, okay, fine, and it just takes off from there, and you go, oh yeah, I'm on board. Back then, I think people would be going, oh, is that what all the fuss is about? I don't know. Who knows?
I think back then it's interesting because I'm reading the Mick Wall biography of the Eagles right now that just came out recently, and they talk a lot about how the Eagles only had a couple studio albums out, and then they released the Greatest Hits album, and it sold more than all their studio albums at the time combined, and most everybody else's studio albums. So I think back in the '70s, live albums kind of competed with those Greatest Hits sets, and they were seen more as that. So they had to be perfect, right? You look at Kiss and Kiss Alive, right? Those first three albums didn't sell shit, right? But of course, Kiss Alive comes out and boom, they blow up, right? Because it's basically a greatest hits of the first three albums. So I think that it was a different time. We look at it now with these weird lenses that are, all these decades are in between. But I think back then a live album was supposed to be something special to commemorate a career of a band up to that point and be a greatest hit set, like Thin Lizzy didn't have a greatest hit set at the time, nor would they warrant it. UFO, same thing there. Deep Purple, same thing there. Kiss, same thing there, right? So you get a live album, basically is the de facto greatest hit set. So it's got to sound as perfect as it possibly can be. Yes.
Would agree with that.
Yeah. All right. So 2 weeks from today, we are revisiting our last topic, which has proven to be really, really popular. Final albums. We talked about the good ones, the ones we really like. Now we're going to visit the not so good ones. Oh boy. Those final albums that just probably should have stayed final, right?
Well, they were.
Huh?
They were final. That's, why, just.
Yeah.
Simon, Pete just built that up there, and then you just went.
We're saying the shit, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
That's
yes,
the one.
Yes.
There you go. You're on.
Yes. These are the bad ones, folks. So stay tuned. 2 weeks from today. What did we do? 5 last time? How many did we do each? I forget.
3. We did 3.
I'll pitch 3. There's only so much shit I can listen to.
Interesting. At the risk of getting ahead of the show, I have found this much more difficult than I thought I was going to do. I thought this was going to be, how do I whittle this down? It's not been that at all. So I'm really interested as to what, because people have interpreted final albums very differently. We were reasonably strict that if a band had released, even posthumously, a studio album that came out that was pretty much okayed by people involved, then that's part of the catalogue. And I'm okay with people in the comments not doing that, because we all have our own reasons for liking things or not. I'm down with that. That's cool. We're all just playing along. But yeah, I've stuck to these rules for this, and I've kind of go, wow, I genuinely thought I would be going, right, how do I whittle this 3,000 down to 3? It's not been that at all.
Yeah.
I found that some of the terrible final albums I quite like. Terrible.
Oops. The criteria is we have to not like them. That's the whole thing, right? Yeah. So that's So we still have some work to do. So we'll see you all in 2 weeks for final albums, the bad ones, coming up here on the UK Connection. And till then, visit us on the web at www.seaoftranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, all together, all the damn time. Down in the comments below, let us hear your 2 favorite Thin Lizzies, your 2 least favorite Thin Lizzies, and your wild card. And we'll be doing another ranking or whatever, favorite, least favorite, or another catalog in the not too distant future. So stay tuned for that and all sorts of other stuff.
It's me that's confused, not you.
I know. This is
can I
only
tell you what's
5%.
I mean, I can tell you what's coming up here if you want to know what's
Fucking
coming up.
hits of cucumber, and there he's gone, isn't he? Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
That's
it's the
one whiff
cucumber.
of the cucumber and he's away.
oh,
Yeah, so the
cucumber.
next show is
Oh.
worst 3 final albums. Then after that, we're doing what Simon trailed about, I don't know, 12 years back. And we're going to do a classic album ranking the songs on a classic album. And it is, Simon?
It's Misplaced Childhood by Marillion.
By Marillion. Then we've got another AOR melodic rock show. And then we will be doing another least favourite wildcard show. And don't tell anyone because we don't give it away this far out, but we're doing Rainbow. Okay. Okay, nobody heard it was Rainbow, so that's fine. There we go. I won't go any further than that.
We are?
We are, yes.
Oh, shit. Right, okay. We are?
We are, yes.
Agreed to that. I didn't realise it was so soon.
Yeah, by so soon, I mean, I'm talking the end of November with that one.
Plenty of time.
You've got loads of time to do your homework.
Simon, I've got like 8 ranking the album shows to do between now and then. What are you worried about?
Oh, hold on.
Oh man, always a good time with these two gentlemen. So as it's getting dark in here, what the hell's going on, man? I tell you, I couldn't keep the sun out like an hour ago. Now it's just like, ooh. So anyway,
I'm sorry, elongate this any further. When we joined this call, Pete was trying to get the light sorted out, and genuinely, as we joined the call, Pete was going.
Yeah, I mean, the sun was coming in through the blinds, and I'm like, all right, I got this. Yeah, so now it's. I mean, I could probably open them again. I don't know if it'll make much difference. Not that it matters because we're finished, but let's see. See that looks perfectly great. Look at that. That is perfect. Took till the end of the show for me to get perfect light in this office. Terrible. Oh well. Welcome to the Hudson Valley, folks. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. For Simon and Steven, I'm Pete. We'll see you in 2 weeks here on the UK Connection. Have a good weekend, everybody. Enjoy yourselves. Bye-bye.